weird. Hello?
Hi.
Apologize, folks. There you go. So we were muted, but you're watching Weirdo Universe, where wonders take flight. Enjoy the show. I'm Amon.
I'm AJ.
This is Weirdo Universe. So we're gonna take a little break with this the Arrowverse, but the CW verse of their own. Now the Arrowverse CW series of the Arrowverse of DC. Oh, I'm sorry. I tried to put that all in a sentence. But we're gonna take a break, and we're going to hit the Fantastic Four movies, and I just saw it last week. And Anthony saw it probably a few months ago,
I
a little further than
I
that. But
saw it about I think maybe late September or October, one of the two.
so
Just to ask you though, you could hear me all right,
yeah,
right?
we're all clear, all clear, all clear.
Okay.
Speak.
I switched my earbuds, so I guess that I don't know. I'll figure it out later.
All right. But yeah, I saw it, and it was kind of like one of those movies where it's just they wanted to like at least introduce a villain that we see in the comics for so many years. We hear people talk about it, so on and so on. So glad they did this, and that villain is Galactus. And so I feel like the movie I was prepared was more like a more build up because, as we know, next year in December the whole Avengers movies are back in business as they're going to make two
Oh,
more.
I gotta say, um, I found out about the upcoming Avengers Doomsday film
Hmm.
that that's going to be Patrick Stewart's final. Um,
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, I heard he is going to retire.
I was kind of surprised. I mean, I don't mean to kind of switch subject and get a little off track here, but I mean, I was kind of surprised finding that on Instagram at one point. I was shocked. I mean, he's made such a huge career that I mean, it was like I even kind of questioned it a couple times. It's just like, when are you gonna just kick back and relax, kid? I mean, you've been around for
Well, there's your
quite
answer.
some time. Yeah, I mean, and I gotta say, him retiring after such a huge MCU film, I think that's probably the most fitting for him to finally just get out of the game for a while and just kind of take some time for himself.
So yeah, but I mean, we're not like really off topic. It's part of Marvel, and that's Fantastic Four, part of the Marvel series. As we know, they haven't done a movie in like quite some time. It's been very long.
I think the last Fantastic Four film was, I want to say, 2005.
Five? I thought it was like seven. I,
It
re-
could be something.
I do recall seeing it.
Um, think it might be seven, but I could be wrong. I I know it was right before, at least by a few years, right before the first Iron Man film. I know that. I just don't remember the exact year it was released.
But let's at least go back to the main topic. That movie is Fantastic Four. I mean, acting wise, Pedro Pascal from being Joel to now trying to be a scientist. He did quite a good job of being like the nerd what as Reed was. So in case if people don't know the Fantastic Four, it used to be the concept of the one they made is like a reimagine or not reimagine, but an actual series they did long ago for people, like long ago when TV was in color. When TV was in color, so so you got Reed, got Visitor Girl, who's well, Anthony can help me out with each of
Yeah.
the characters. But you
All
got
right.
Firestorm, you got the Thing,
Yeah,
which is
we got Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman, her brother Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and then Ben Grimm as the Thing.
and
Oh, and then if you're really a huge Fantastic Four fan, and you want to include the adorable little robot Herbie.
oh yeah, that too. But I have to say, I mean, it was pretty. It was just at least it was definitely a better film. We'll just say that because when they made the one back in the early 2000s, I mean, the the actor who played Cap being Firestorm, that was a hit. I mean,
Yeah, Chris Evans
Evans being
as
Firestorm,
the Human Torch. That was kind of funny. I'm not gonna deny
like
that.
that was pretty a hit. I don't know like who the actor played the Thing was. I forgot who. I forgot the other the other three actors who played.
Jessica Alba was the one who played Sue Storm, Invisible Woman. I don't remember the actors' names for Reed and Ben. At least not by heart, the way that I know Chris Evans and Jessica Alba.
Hmm.
But I still kind of find that casting
So
almost spot
sorry,
on.
I did a quick research. So the series I was mentioning about a Fantastic Four becoming like a classic series. It was in the '60s. It only went on for a year in September, in the late '60s. So that was the aspiration because when I was watching with my mom, and she just thinking like it's like the way it looked. She thought it was like it's just like something about like the '50s or something. It's like well, it's an Earth like us, but it's like a different Earth. I try not to go full detail, but it was just like it's Earth just in a different universe, but with the concept as if like the '50s. Like if you think of watching those cartoons, like sorry to go a little off topic, but I feel like this could be related in not of the movie, but the concept they showed, which was like if you know those you've watched those cartoon or Disney's where there's always future cars or
Oh yeah,
like giant landscape buildings.
like the Jetsons.
Yeah, like think of that, but not the floating card aspect, but it's like the tires they wear, but it kept living on through a future. So the Earth they lived on is Earth 888. Why does it have an additional number? Who knows? Maybe Brainiac's involved. But we don't know who. We honestly we don't know the whole concept of just multiple Earths with a certain number, not just one Earth. There's like 12 billion of them or 90 billion of them. You know,
Well, that's the whole multiversal theory is that there's an infinite amount of Earths, and a lot of times this is due to the fact that within our reality or plane of existence within the multiverse, depending on what choices we make, we create another Earth by these choices in some way. It's actually quite fascinating. I It's one of the things that I really got into science for. Um, Even though technically my science teachers will tell you completely otherwise.
but let's just all right. Let's go a little deep dive into this movie. I mean, like it wasn't like they weren't going all crazy, but they had threw in the guy Galactus just to at least get him a good showing. Like how side note with Transformers, they did the whole Unicron appearance. They always talk about him, and then they finally show him a little bit. So in this case, for Marvel, they finally show a villain or anti-villain. I don't know however you will take it as it is, but yeah, Galactus was funny enough. He was actually a normal human like us, but for some reason, I mean, AJ will go in a deep dive, but of him, but like pretty much he was actually normally human, but then something happened. He got this notorious hunger that he's pretty much became like I wanted to say Unicron in a way, but not
I
not
mean,
of course a
you're not
sentient.
wrong. You're not wrong about
But,
that.
but before we go to that whole scene, like what did you think of the acting, the plot, all that? Like what do you think of it?
Okay, I gotta say, acting plus the casting within this, I gotta say, they did a pretty good job. I mean, the casting was pretty good. I mean, I do gotta say, I would cry if this turns out to be another role for Pedro of a character who just dies. Um, because he's just been, like I said in our Last of Us video, um, he's known for playing characters who die a lot. So I'm genuinely curious and slightly maybe a little worried he might die. Um, but overall, with moving from that, I gotta say the acting was pretty spot on. I mean, I love the fact that Pedro himself actually got into the character of Reed because he is a workaholic and practically really focused, like he hyper fixates on trying to just solve every problem. And with that issue comes the consequence of misunderstanding in communication. Because if you remember him on in the movie at some point, Sue began to kind of feel like Reed was more invested in trying to solve the world's problem than trying to protect the family, in a sense,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
in a small way.
yeah, like as you I think AJ mentioned, like he's a workaholic. He's becoming a dad, and then he got his whole mind with science to try to solve everything. But he can't solve every world's problems. Got just the society of everything. But that's another topic for another time, I guess. But it's like
Um,
he wanted to help, but then he was kind of had a blind like he had like a blind eye of not seeing like focusing on the real problem, becoming a dad. And so, as you start a family, there's arguments. You get in some arguments, and you try to like defend, but it's almost not like you're lying, but you're just like just saying something. Just because you be silent, and it feels you're trying to defend yourself, but then, yeah, so on and so on. But there's been fights between Fantastic and uh, Mr. Fantastic and uh, what's their name? Sorry, Mr. Fantastic and
you mean
Invis-
Invisible Woman?
Invisible Woman. I'll try and go by the identity, but they would do that.
You could always just call them by their name if it makes it easier. I mean, Reed and Sue. I
Reed and
mean,
Sue. That's what I was trying to get to. Sorry, it's early in the morning here. Reed and Sue. They had arguments like in the movie, for example. We're gonna take a deep dive of Galactus scene because when I saw it, I'm just like Transformers.
oh,
But
it
there
was
was
like a dream come true, as if you were watching Transformers finally actually broadcast Unicron in
we'll,
full size.
we'll get there shortly. But like there was so Galactus. Before we get into the whole argument, when they heard the name Galactus, they just like, oh, it's just some like ordinary villain. And like, oh, so they tracked him. I mean, this is like so. As I was saying, when the whole concept was like, if they sticked with like the '50s concept, but adding like all this like all the future things we always talk about, teleportation, light speed, So
Yeah.
like all that in this Earth with Reed, pretty much inventing all of this. He they got on a ship and they kind of warped, and it was kind of cool how they did that. Just give you like a good idea. Let's just say if it ended up. Just a quick side note, it happened during the real world. If anyone has this idea to try to go back and forth through space, but I like how
Think
they
of it
did
kind of
it.
like the Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was gonna say kind of think of it like the hyperdrive from
Yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah. And so anyway, when they went to this, they just thought they went to this one planet because they realized they discovered this thing eat this whoever this is, he eats in a way, like he destroys planets. But as they got to one planet, just for a good, I don't know, 10 seconds, they just see the core pretty much getting is almost like a black hole sucking in a star. And what's funny when I first saw that, I'm like, wait, it's just a ship, and yet it's acting like it was a giant. It was like a metal arm, like punching through a planet. But in a way, it's acting more like a drill. But it just slowly goes to one Earth, obliterates it, and then leaves. But it's thinking like, how the heck does it feed? How does Galactus feed? All he does is just goes through one planet, destroys it, and like still leaves as if like, wait a minute, he's not. And he destroyed an Earth, like he destroyed a planet, but it didn't look like he's
See,
eating.
I gotta say what I liked about that from the difference, obviously from the comics, was that he's not just like this giant celestial being, even though he technically is, but he's not like just floating in the like just vacuum of space, holding the planet in his hands and biting it like it's an apple.
Yeah, they
He's
did.
actually using the ship that when he's sitting in this like chair in it, he has these tubes that are connected to his back, and this is how he's feeding through the ship. And I find that actually a bit more interesting because, I mean, with like the early 2000 version of Galactus, we do get to see Galactus in a sense, but he's more of this like storm in a sense. So I mean, it's to see him actually being this giant person using this kind of like warship of some sorts as a kind of like a giant um I don't know the term I want to use for this. I don't really know if
Like
it's
like the ship. It looked like. Well, as I said, all I could think of was like a drill, but it's not like the. It's not like, or you kind of think, yeah, it's kind of like a ship, but like the outer part almost has a tipping point, but not quite, but has like it kind of like opens up a little bit. So in a way, it's almost like I'm trying to think like a Star Wars ship that has sort of similarity, but
hmm,
anyway, so like they're like, oh, what the heck? So they're evading it. They just like first they thought, oh, we'll go to this planet, we land, we find Galactus. Like, no, 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 Galactus will come to you if you're in his route. So
yeah.
as they escape, big action scene. I mean, geez, I don't know how much. Like in the movie concept, I wonder how much stages they use. Because man, CGI took over that movie in a way.
I mean, dude, them alone just in that chase scene was phenomenal.
I mean,
And then like them ending it off with like them using a black hole to stop Silver Surfer.
yeah. So, sir, we'll break. We're actually break that character down a bit too. But
Yeah,
anyway, so
especially because I've noticed that there was a lot of controversy. I mean, it really like
in the
weighed
comic,
with the
I mean, I
between the
think
audience.
like, well, I didn't never read the comics, but the concept of her was based on the comics, where it was actually a female surfer.
Yeah, I believe that was in one of the What If comic um series, I think. I could be wrong. But I know that in the comics they do have where there's like this alternate universe where it takes place. And instead of I can't think of his name for the life of me, but at least the original Silver Surfer's name, that is, I mean. Um I think it was like Norin something. I don't remember. But he's the original Silver Surfer in most universes in most cases. And I don't remember her name, but I think it was like reversed in this universe. So instead of the wife or the husband making the sacrifice, it was actually the wife who made the sacrifice to become the Silver Surfer. And I mean, that is, regardless of who does it, that is still a heartbreaking moment. I could just imagine. I mean, you had the choice to either become basically somebody's servant to choose planets to basically have them feed upon and save your own planet, or become basically his next meal.
So in that, but going back to that scene, so they escape. Well, they didn't escape, but before that whole that sequence was using the black hole to escape. So they get caught by the tractor beam. They get caught, and Silver comes out, and it's just like because with the type of I don't know what they said. Some I was going to say metallic, but I forgot what the coating was. But she can pretty much go through anything. I could just say that, but she could pretty much go through any types of
Well, I
wall.
don't know if that's the just her like skin from her becoming the Herald of Galactus, or if that's just one of her many cosmic powers. Because I mean, we also see another one. I mean, she is super fast. I mean, incredibly fast. Um, Strong enough as well. I mean, she packs a punch, and I'm not quite sure what else, but I know that with the early 2000s version of Fantastic Four, they do have it where Silver Surfer is able to cause, or not cause, shoot out like energy blasts in some way. Um, but I think that might be one of her powers, is that she's able to kind of use intangibility to phase through solid objects, I think.
So anyway, she not invites them, but since like she just warns them like you shouldn't have come. So anyway, she very much invites invites them in, and man, I know it was all the green screen stage work, but I was just like the first name I thought of like Unicron,
Yeah,
because the concept of how Galactus eats is almost the way as Unicron eats, but literally he actually eats. He actually eats the matter of the planet of Cybertronian, but
yeah.
eats the he literally eats it. But for Galactus is interesting. Like as they walk, you're almost walking. I want to say just ash of probably all the souls that got vanquished when Galactus came to their homes. And like it's weird. Like it's like a whole like a machine. Like all the matter kind of go through these like what's that, tractor not tractors, but like on these tracks, and you saw the lava, and it's like you think he's eating it, but it's interesting because when they get to go, like they didn't know who Galactus was pretty much, but they showed him, and man, I mean, he could give you a chill in your
Oh,
spine, or he just like smile of joy because he sits on pretty much as he considers the throne, and he has all these tubes connected to his I guess this outfit he might have created for himself to keep him like stable, but and they're like all these tubes connected, and then just all that it's like all the earth matter, all the not earth, but all the planet matter, it's burned to ash and it turns to liquid, and then that's how he feeds. It's like at least generates, but in a way of him feeding. But
Yeah, we don't exactly know how exactly he feeds, but it, I'm assuming it's through the tubes in
wait,
some
I
way.
think no, I think no, that's what I'm saying. I think because when I saw how it's functioning, it's literally like it destroys a planet, and then I don't know, like there's a way it collects or goes through maybe some ventilation or what, but and then it like gets thrown a lot. It gets thrown like a lava pit to burn, and then I mean, it goes up to some tubes, and it just that's how he feeds. Like it, at least satisfying it himself. But it's like he doesn't let it eat. Almost like he turns it into.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's not like he's actually like holding the planet like it's apple and just
That's
biting into
what,
it.
usually when you hear Galactus, it's like, oh, they're just going to show him just like. Let's just say, for example, if they went the whole comic route, they would just see a dude walking in space, picking up a planet, and just
Yeah, you'd
eating.
basically okay. Think of like in the movie Eternals at the end of the movie when you finally see what was his name? Um, not Tiamat, but the
The
other one.
machine. You're talking about the machine.
No, the the
Yeah, the
Judge
German guy.
Celestial guy thing. Or, I don't remember his name. Um, shoot. But basically, like in the comics, it's like Galactus is that big. He's just enormous. And
But
I
then,
mean, I believe he's he's not exactly a celestial, I don't
but,
think,
well, like
but
that. Well, the first line he said, he's like, "Oh, I was once a human once until I had this devouring hunger." You think
yeah,
like, wait a minute, you were our size, and you became a walking like a space giant, pretty much.
yeah.
And it's like, how does that work? How's that like? How does that work? So actually, AJ, how do you try to break it down of like if you can of just Galactus what he once was before he became?
Ooh,
If you can, if you have any.
I am very unprepared for that. Yeah.
Okay, we
I'll
don't
do
have.
my best.
Well, we don't have
Uh,
to. We don't have to. I just thought maybe if you had a thought.
um,
Well,
not that I know of. I
I
mean,
think I think you actually told me that pretty much the way I understood it. So just a quick recap. So in the intro of the movie, they showed the four characters before what they became doing some space mission. Apparently, they hit some like space arrays that apparently had changed their DNA, and that's what they became.
I think it was like a cosmic
Yeah,
storm. They said
cosmic
it was.
storm that changed their they kind of tweaked their DNA. I think you said the same thing for Galactus because he was a scientist, but he kind of went through the same process, but instead of
I
changing
think
with
I do remember that.
powers, it's more like it made him into more hunger, but not as in the concept of eating, but just like
Don't quote me on that though. I again, I don't want to think that I
well,
got that right.
that's what
Completely.
that's why I'm just summing up. You know, that's not made the exact words, but what I'm saying,
Yeah.
what I think it is.
Um, that is at least a possibility. I think that was something that I kind of thought about because I don't know if I exactly actually dug into his lore a bit more than. I attended to. But I do remember actually telling you about that though. I do remember telling you about that.
So
It
anyway,
could be possible that he might have.
anyway, when when he shows up, I'm like, because it's like how they did it. He's like, you don't see him until almost turn on like his lasers and just you see you start to see just see this massive figure because they just thought like, oh, we can fight him almost, but they're like, oh, you know. Anyway, like as I was saying, like he said, like I was once like a human, and now it came to this devouring hunger. That's probably the exact quotes, pretty much the sum up of it. And he, like I wasn't sure, like when they introduced Galactus, would the man speak? Would they give the
Oh my
person to actually
god!
give them lines? And they did at least get this notorious scene of him sitting on a throne in this massive
Can
like
we also
purple
just
like
talk about
sentient.
just acknowledge the fact that like how massive he is in size?
It's just
I
like,
mean, dude makes the four members of the Fantastic Four look like ants.
but anyway, but the craziest scene he could say, not just with his lines, but he knows that since Sue was carrying the child, for his smartness, he understood that that kid, which every character knows, was probably going to be the most powerful.
Oh, you have
Like, well,
no idea.
yeah, like it's like the most powerful person, probably all of Marvel combined.
He is definitely up there
Yeah, it's
with
crazy.
a lot of the powerful characters.
But
And
anyway, like,
especially if you know him from the comics, Franklin Richards. Oh,
so anyway,
woo!
he noticed that about the potential of the kid, so he was almost want to take him as his heir because he like in a way Galactus is just like he wants to die in a way, but he wants to leave someone else to take the throne.
I mean,
And his understanding of it.
I will say it's pretty fair when you kind of think about it. Like at least when he kind of explains his reasoning for it, it's like okay. I mean, kind of makes sense. I mean,
Anyway,
I'm
so with
sure you've been
this,
doing this for quite some time, and it's just horrible.
anyway, so with whatever, I don't know how he built his suit, but anyway, with every time you see like these purple like laser eyes, it's his like his ability so he can convince the brain to tell like, oh, it's time to go into labor. So in a way, it's like he forces it, and then there's this whole sequence.
That was honestly actually pretty cool.
Like
I'm
he literally
not
like
gonna
it's
lie.
funny enough, like he kind of literally just like not stood, but he almost like had to lean and like try to like literally like almost scan the brain. Like he didn't have to do it from like sitting afar. He literally just had to lean a little bit. I, in that scene, it was just sequence. But I was just saying like that
Can
I
I add something a little bit to that moment? Um, you gotta imagine how horrifying that was, though.
oh,
I
wait,
mean,
wait,
he just
before,
kind of
wait,
like,
wait, hold your thought. The another scene in that, which was when he discovered about the child, he said, "Hey, I won't kill your Earth if you give me the child." And just like, hold up, what?
yeah,
And of
yeah,
course,
that
Reed being
was,
a father, being like, "No." It's like, all right, you asked for it, Anyway,
yeah,
continue on.
um, yeah. No, adding on to onto that, just the fact alone, he was like, well, okay, look, I'll make you a deal. You give me the child, I'll spare your planet. And then him just getting rejected, he was like, you know what? Fine, I'll take it by force if I have to. And then just forced Sue to immediately go into labor. I mean, I can't picture at how horrifying that must have felt. I mean, at least to Sue and Reed, I mean, them being like basically newfound parents or going to be newfound parents, that
And
must have
like,
been horrifying.
and like Firestorm, he acted and like he thought, oh, it was a weak point. Let me just take out the feeding tubes. But I'm like, yeah, that didn't do anything at
No,
all.
that
Like,
if anything, that probably pissed them off more.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to grab him, but he's so big, so he moves in a slow. He moves very slow. But since it was just fire, so I don't know what went through his hands. But anyway, it was just like so. That's how I was like this. So that's how they did it. And anyway, I just want to go a side note. I'm like Transformers. That's how you gotta do Unicron. If you're going to actually do an actual
absolutely.
figure, that's a type of introduction we need to see. Honestly,
I hope
in some shape and form.
Or when was the upcoming Transformers film coming out? The next year or the
Next year,
or 2027?
I think some point next year. We'll check that later. So
Okay,
fast
but
forwarding.
no, that has to be like the way that they bring in Unicron.
I mean, they had to, because I'm just like Unicron. As soon like I'm seeing the whole thing, I'm like Unicron.
Yeah, I mean, it was just as a Transformers fan, it was
Heck,
just like,
I know.
yes.
Sorry, we're a bit on a little side note here with Transformers, because just that scene is. I felt
It was too perfect not to. I mean,
but that actor actually could be another. That actor could be another voice for Unicron. Anyway, so fast forwarding, so AJ broke it down about the escape, and there was a cool like they're trying to warp out, but of course for Silver Surfer she can pretty much follow them in that light speed. They try to shoot, but of course the way science is didn't work. So then Reed only thought it was going to a black hole, and they went there and trapped her in, and then they got back. So then there was this, everyone thought like, oh, they defeated Galactus, yay, and just like, oh, no, we didn't, and this what caused a bit of a riot, which was that they told him that he wanted our child for Earth, and we said no. The reporters revolted a bit. And then one app person, are we safe? And he was just being completely honest and just saying, no, I don't know. And anyway, there was just a lot of drama, a lot of revolting. And so Franklin Richards, being born, being a baby, and the way they did the baby, that was all CGI.
You're kidding.
That was like, for example, when the birth happened, you could see how the baby came out, where the face was almost like not CGI, I mean AI. It was all AI with that. Because if you really looked hard, it didn't look like I could have tell from an instant. I was like that, like yeah, even though
I'm gonna have to rewatch this movie now.
yeah, I think the birth scene was actually not CGI. I think it was like complete AI. But of course, when they actually did the real scene, I'm assuming they probably asked to borrow a kid to at least have small appearances. But in some periods of the movies. But so anyway, with the revolting, Sue did the speech, and for me, I didn't know that her and Firestorm are actually brother and sister, and they told him about the death of
I gotta say, it's kind of funny you're saying Firestorm, and that keeps putting me into DC. Because in the Flash series, there's a character called Firestorm, and they have him also in the
I don't know how I always compare Firestorm, and it just sounds like the flame torch. I don't know. They're the same abilities.
I mean, it's still kind of a funny name regardless, but it's the Human Torch is what you're I think trying to say.
Yeah, Human Torch. So then they did this. She told a story, and then she kind of off about like trying to sum it up, pretty much saying, wait a minute. The way she ended her speech,
break down the speech a bit to help out him on here a bit is Sue wanting to unify the city to help them find a solution to the mutual problem that would be the destruction of their planet.
And this is where it gets a little crazy. So she said a certain word or saying, and light bulb clicked, and Reed thought, let's actually teleport the Earth and go somewhere that our Galactus will never find. And not gonna lie, it almost worked until apparently a few months go really fast. Apparently in Marvel, and Silver Surfer came up and just destroy all but one of like these machines. And so, but for Human Torch, during the movie, he was going like Reed mode pretty much.
Okay, actually, I do want to talk about that real quick.
He's a bit, so like Torch is a bit of charismatic, like kind of like you don't really see him as being the smart one, but
actually, in the comics, he's not all that. How can I say this without being so blunt and kind of rude about it? Flamboyant.
Okay.
I feel like that might be the more
Human Torch's ability with that.
What I mean is he in the comics he isn't just like um the eye candy of the group. Basically, he's not just like this type of fuck it. I'm just gonna say it, fuck boy that he was in the early 2000s versions.
Actually, I think I know I know what the term is. I think I know you're trying to go for, but
yeah. So to see actually Johnny, and don't get me wrong, we do kind of see this within the 2015 version of Fantastic Four that almost nobody enjoyed for whatever reasons. But we do get to see another version of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, be this kind of smart, intelligent character that we're not really used to seeing him as on the big screen. Because he's usually, I mean, like I said, he's really like in most cases the eye candy of the group in some form. So I mean, to actually get the chance to see him work as this like and actually use his intelligence to crack something to actually help the team and whatnot was such a phenomenal thing to see with the character. And the actor, I don't remember his name, but um to see him actually portray this version of Johnny was such a great portrayal. I mean, he did such a good job with this performance. So
in this scene he goes he kind of had a smart moment. He took months and he finally cracked the code of Sorcerer's language. So he kind of developed all the like logs and kind of pretty much becomes the bait for Silver Surfer, and then he puts her in like a trap of just not as in like some machine to like defeat her, but to help her face reality or face what she's done. And
no, he didn't trap her within a machine. He actually.
Well, it wasn't. I just said like it wasn't a machine.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
It's all good.
Go on.
Well, it was all the lives of certain of all the planets that Galactus destroyed, and it was like all the ones in their language pleading for mercy or help. And so she kind of takes a deep dive of what happened to her planet. So she pretty much, for her, well, wait, I think it was a log that her planet was even destroyed anyway.
I don't remember.
Maybe not, but oh, maybe not. Wait a minute, but she
I'll have
tells
to
us.
rewatch it, and then I'll post something about it. Later.
Anyway, she told a story that well, Human Torch discovered that who she once was a scientist or a priest. Not priest. Maybe not priest. Was it scientist? Shoot. But
I think he said that she was a astronomer.
an astronomer. So then Galactus came to the planet, and to save her planet, she surrendered and become like as you heard what Anthony mentioned, so it became Silver Surfer. Anyway, so Galactus arrives, and I don't know, I would say it was funny, but it was kind of like a cool epic like landing or jump, because when he of course instead of jumping on land, he jumps on water, but how massive this, like how tall he is. When he jumped in the water, I felt like he might as well just destroy the Earth, because it was just like, I think all the water was gone. I mean, you might have just flooded New York and called it a day. Because
yeah, I mean, he basically almost did, to be honest.
Like, he just landed, and it's like the whole water sequence took probably a good 3 minutes to do, just for that landing. And then he stands up, and just to make sure he was on the right planet in a way, he looks and see Lady Liberty. So he's like, okay, I'm here. And he's like, almost like he didn't know. It's like, all right, is this it? And then
I like that. I love the fact that they just gave him like just a moment of like, is this right?
But then, like, he wanted to really confirm. He goes to the ground, picks it up, and smells the dirt. Be like, no, this is it. And then he starts marching in to, well, in the home place, which is Times Square, New York City. This is all where the place, at least the one city that the movie was based on. Well, not based on, but like.
We also take a moment to appreciate getting to see a kind of like 50s era New York with a bit like sort of modern day look.
Or modern day, or at least something we'll see in the next 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, to get that kind of timeline in a movie and then still have it where it looked sort of like getting to the futuristic type era that you usually see in like shows or movies or like even video games, and actually get to see that within like a mixture of like a past timeline. That was pretty cool to me. I loved it.
So actually, another thing we forgot to mention. So before he even lands, the plan, Reed thought his plan was the last machine that was able to teleport the Earth, which was almost completed, like within like 3 seconds, of course. As in every movie does when it's a close moment of joy.
Every movie. It's always like
so his planning was that he can pretty much, in a way, make a portal, but you need to like time it specifically within like 37 seconds. So that was the plan, to like, he had to use the kid, and of course Sue accepting but hating at the same time. Baby.
Well, I mean, as a mom, in most cases, moms are a lot more extremely protective.
Wow.
At least in most cases, when it comes to for surely movies. I don't know about in general. I don't.
Okay. All right. Yeah, in movies. So, and that was the plan. So anyway, Galactus lands. He's just marching, and they're just trying to just like almost stall in a way, or like try to lure him, because of course he does his massive scanner and just be like, oh, there he is, and just walks, destroying half of New York. Like, here's what's crazy. because they evacuate everyone. They trapped underground with like a villain, you could say, that Reed doesn't like,
I think he was actually
or just
the
an enemy.
I think one of the first enemies to the Fantastic Four. I think.
So he had like a little underground, like he had like a little underground place. But it's just funny. Galactus, like just when he lands or takes one step, they could have died. But of course,
Yeah.
keeping everyone alive, they'd stop and not lose. Because honestly, just if you when you watch the movie, you see the size of this guy. It's like literally one
I
step
mean, he literally shakes the ground.
as he takes a step.
Yeah.
Step by
I
step.
mean, he could have genuinely actually killed everybody just with a cave in, just because he was walking along the street.
So they're all stalling, and he like this was where like he gave like Galactus gave him props. So they swapped the kid to make it to swap it for a different like what do you call those?
I usually just call them baby carriers.
Yeah,
I
big
don't know if that's
characters.
the exact term for it, but that's what I
They
call them.
swapped it for an empty one because Galactus just knows by his first scan it's over, so he's just focused on getting over there. And it's so funny. It's like he just noticed it just when he's about to take that last step, and he's like, oh, clever little insects or something within that line. Within
Yeah,
the
I love the fact that they gave him just a moment of like him pausing. And I was like, wait
like
a minute.
if
Some
Galactus had had a little more charisma, it's like, I thought you got me there. Nice try. All right.
Yeah.
Where's the kid? It's like, okay, he's over there. So now he's walking over there, destroying all of New York pretty much just by walking and destroying buildings that are like not even half his size, or at least like maybe at least elbow length.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he is a tall dude.
and it's funny enough that the Fantastic Four building actually was slightly taller than him.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Just
because
like
by the time he got there, and like at the robot, he doesn't know what to do. So he's like, oh, put it like security measures. Puts on like shutters. In like 3 seconds, Galactus Reed just goes in, breaks the thing in an instant, and like picks up the kid. And for the robot was fine. But it's just like I like the robot's like it's like kind of like R2 or C3PO. Just
I
like
gotta say,
uh,
Herbie was adorable. I mean, it was like watching, like you said, R2 from Star Wars. I mean, it was just so adorable to just see him kind of be like, okay, what do I do now? Oh, I'll
security
just
measures,
put the building into a shutdown or whatever, and hope
lockdown,
that works.
and then he
That was
comes.
just so adorable, though. I mean, I couldn't even be upset with the intent. I mean, it was just like, this would work, right?
But so like gets the kid, and he was saying like since he has him, it was like let me feed you. But like first you thought the whole concept was like you think it's like no, he doesn't not gonna it's not he remember he's not gonna kill the kid. He's gonna try to feed him so then he'll be strong enough to then he can like kill him pretty much, I guess. At the end of the day, that was his
Basically, Galactus wanted to take the kid, kind of adopt him as his own, and then make the kid take his place as the devourer of worlds.
I mean, right now that'd be a good what if you any what if series just do something like that.
Hey, I mean, I would have loved
Of
to
course, the
see.
throne might not be as big, or maybe you actually get in that.
It might be bigger because I mean, if you noticed in a lot of the what if like episodes, any like character that was like giant, they always looked bigger in the series.
It's so anyway, he escapes. Now they realize now noticing that they all did their powers, but of course Sue, being the mom, she went full on Anakin and literally did it.
Oh,
and she went all her wits and powers because Reed knows that there's a certain capacity or to her ability that will literally kill her or
I
her
I do gotta say this.
permanently.
This was still technically in their early days.
Yeah.
At least from what I could tell from watching the film, that is. Um, besides Johnny, the Human Torch, besides him, Sue is one of the most powerful members of that family, outside of her and Reed's child.
So they, and you think like all her abilities turn like doing force fields and doing invisible force fields. But you think like, what? That's it? But it's like there's a lot more to it.
Well, there's comics where Sue has actually killed people by like creating a force field inside their body to pop them like a balloon.
So she comes
I mean,
in.
it's it's brutal.
She enters the scene and went full on Anakin and made kind of like that sort of thing. Made a force field or
He made a force field so big that it was genuinely actually pushing Galactus back.
and Galactus was like, "What the heck?" And he's like, trying to
Yeah,
grab
he
hold.
was even surprised.
Like, and like there was a
I don't
moment.
know if he was surprised at the fact that she was strong enough to do that, or at the audacity that this small being was able to do that. I mean, I gotta give her props though. I mean, shoot, like, good for her though.
I mean, like she did enough to then like the thing broke a building down to kind of try to topple, like at least not topple Galactus, but in a way kind of let him lean on one side, and then, well, actually, there's one quick scene where Reed, I think, was based on the comics of how Galactus did it, where he like took him like a string and tried to literally pull. He extends, but even he has limits, and always try to like pluck them out.
I noticed also that a lot of people were hating on that moment.
Like,
I don't know why.
maybe it was the Pedro fans.
Probably,
That
but
one's
I think it was just, I don't know. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of different controversy regarding some things in the movie, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of liked it because, again, they're in their early days, basically, like their early years. So I mean, them going up against this like giant like planet-eating being. I mean, they're bound to have limits being
and
pushed.
what's funny of it all, Galactus will like grinning or like
Oh
smiling,
yeah,
doing it, just like, yeah, he's a maniac.
oh yeah.
So so anyway, and so to wrap it all up, so they turned it on, the portal opens, you only have 37 seconds. They pushed him in enough, and he kind of like slowly entered. But of course, in all epicness, yay! And the zoo comes out like he came out of a grave, trying to like pull himself
Yeah.
out of it. And Firestorm, I mean, Flame Torch, being like
It was
the younger uncle. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, that's how the family part works. But
well, I mean, he's the brother to Sue, so he would be the uncle.
yeah, the uncle. Okay, being the young uncle, he's doing the sacrifice, ready to like you go in and like beat, and but of course, and of course he gets blasted away or pushed over.
He
Silver
gets
comes in for
basically smacked.
for at least like Silver comes in for at least like atonement, and pretty much like went for used like when light speed to his core, just pushed him through, and the thing closes. Of course, I don't think that will be the end of it. So hopefully, by the time they wrap up this Avengers, we get to see him more. But without further ado,
Well,
oh wait,
before we actually cut it off, you got to also remember, Silver Surfer was the one who did the sacrificial
yeah,
push.
yeah, sorry
But let's also quickly dive in with the credit scene.
Oh yeah, thank you. I almost forgot. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So there was
I
a
mean, okay, before we actually really get into it, I mean, everybody knew that they were going to probably add this character in at some
well,
point in
there
the film.
well, every movie is connected to just to build it up how they're entering at least in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. So like they get to the intro. So of course Franklin growing like 4 or 5 years old. And it's funny, like the books they're reading him, because the robot pulled up like some like Shakespeare literature, and she was saying like, "Oh, it's like we already read that," or like
Yeah.
the robot like Shakespeare. I'm like, and this kid's like what 4 years old, and it's like you're
I
like,
was just like, you're reading Shakespeare to a toddler.
that's what you know. This kid is very special in the Marvel verse. So anyway, so she looking for a book, she grabs it, and as she walks, she gets this sense. And the one
That's that mom sense that a lot of moms be
the
telling you about too.
mom
Just
sensors were on alert,
putting that out there.
and as I think she was about to like attack, but she stops, and of course we get the notorious Doctor Doom, but not the style, not
My
the.
question is if this is the same Doctor Doom, or at least if they know who he is.
Is it the Tony Stark?
Well, no, I'm meaning more as on the lines of, is this because I've heard that there's going to be a few different Doctor Dooms within Doomsday.
So it could. Who knows? It could be.
But I was curious, is the Doctor Doom that we see at the end of the Fantastic Four film, does he belong in that universe with them, or did he travel from a different reality?
You know what'd be crazy? It'd be crazy. So, in case you didn't know, the actor that played the Doctor Doom in the '07 movie passed away.
No.
Yeah, well, I guess you didn't know that. My bad. Yeah, he passed
When did
away.
that happen?
Well, I'll tell you off camera. So I was just thinking maybe in a way to bring that version back, but like at least maybe CGI it, maybe not. But like I'm a good guess that it's that version. But as you saw the mask, it's not that notorious mask you saw. It's a little old school, classic version edition.
Yeah, they're definitely going for the more classic look at that.
Anyway, like the scene ended like as he's like kneeling, he takes the mask, and then, like the Franklin kind of like, because in the movie we forgot to mention, so Sue died, but the baby, knowing him who he will be, kind of took him, resurrected, or like some of
that was still pretty cool.
Resurrected, so that was,
won't lie about that.
That was an
cool
moment.
It was a very heartwarming moment.
Heartwarming, for sure. And that's how it ended, and then it's like on to the next. But pretty much, I don't know what other movie's coming out before this, but right now we might just have to wait until.
I know that they are. No, I think that's a little after Doomsday. I think they said that might be a part of it. Shoot, I forgot the title now. But the new Spider-Man movie was going to be, I think, coming out next.
That's coming out
next year.
Okay, man, they're doing that, then we'll get Doomsday.
Probably.
Without further ado, though. Again, we'll see you next time.